Following the 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean, the Caribbean has become very committed and passionate about sharing important information on how to be safe before, during, and after a tsunami. Experience shows that the better prepared the population is for an emergency, the more likely it is to reduce the risk of casualties.
In recent years, we've become a lot more actively involved in public education and outreach. Primarily because we've seen the need to communicate the important science that we find here at the Seismic Research Center to the general public. We really feel, what is the point of doing science if we're not able to actually help people with this science, and if we cannot translate it into a language that people can actually understand. Most of our requests for awareness sessions comes from schools, again primarily in Trinidad. We have worked with very young children before at the UE preschool. It's commonly referred to as the UE preschool. These are children aged 3 and 4, and we find that with working with very young children, the best thing is to make everything extremely hands-on. There's very little talk. The children must be involved in the conversation, and we ensure that they participate, and there's lots of role play and there's lots of simulation so that this information can be very concrete in their minds. So at the end of any earthquake or tsunami awareness session, we always give the students homework, and their homework, whether they're 3 or whether they're 18, their homework is to go home and share the information that they've learned with everyone who lives in their household. And that way we know that the information is being passed on.
Donc nous organisons un certain nombre d'actions de formation pour les personnels.
We organize a certain number of training activities for the employees, regularly, every year, to freshen up the ability to respond. And then at the schools, the employees work with their students. At least twice a year, they organize earthquake drills for all of the schools. And they have different partnerships, that is, with the mayor, the local emergency agencies, to make sure that in certain cases communications works. And in different cases, how can we cope with the emergency situation when communication fails? A certain number of scenarios for different types of exercises.
Education does not stop at the schools. There are a number of proven methods and schemes to inform the population about the earthquake and tsunami threat. Having access to this information from home, at work, or even at the beaches helps prepare the population on a long-term basis.
We are setting up a plan to prepare the population with classic methods. We distribute brochures and flyers via a vast network of partners. We have also set up more original plans with plays about the life of the people in Martinique before, during, and after an earthquake. And moreover, we have set up an exhibition of plastic art based on earthquakes. We also planned information sessions for employees in the work environment. All these actions are updated every year by surveys to know if the population agrees with the preparedness measures, to decide whether or not to continue them. We have distributed this flyer, which allows the population to know what the proper behavior is and what needs to be done when a very strong earthquake happens. This allows the population to have the necessary knowledge and the preventive education so that they can save themselves and their families. This flyer also has on the back side some very simple figures in English and Spanish, which also allow the tourists to know what they need to do when the earthquake occurs.
Communities and families should have a tsunami response plan. They should know what areas are at risk and which are safe, how to evacuate in a timely manner and thus avoid loss of life. Tsunami signage is an effective way of communicating this information.
We find ourselves in the Ensenada neighborhood, where we have placed some signs indicating the areas of tsunami danger from the Tsunami Ready program from the municipality of Rincon and from the National Weather Service and the Puerto Rico Seismic Network. This area in particular is an area where we are near the Jorge Seda Crespo School, which is a school located very close to the ocean, where we have installed signs and regularly perform evacuation exercises.
Nobody can prevent a tsunami or an earthquake from happening. Tsunami simulation drills help communities assess how well prepared they are. The purpose of such exercises and drills is to rehearse emergency response, evacuation and recovery plans to ensure their proper execution when a real event occurs.
Y la población tiene mucha conciencia de la necesidad de estar preparado ante un fenómeno de esta naturaleza.
The population is very conscientious about the need to be prepared for an event of this nature. We consider the drill to have been a success. The students from the school that we chose as a pilot test reacted correctly. They evacuated all the classrooms in an orderly way. They moved those people who were pretending to be hurt, and everything was orderly and calm, which should prevail in cases like this. Later, we did a similar drill at the health center, and again the reaction was the correct one. And finally, we did an evacuation drill on the beach. This was the last stage of the drill. From the health center, a siren was activated which corresponded to an alarm signal of the potential for a tsunami, and the population that was at the beach, orderly and along the previously marked routes, evacuated the beach and headed towards higher ground.
Evacuaron la playa y se dirigieron hacia sitios más altos.
Since the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, significant advances have been made in enhancing the tsunami monitoring, modeling, and communication capacity in the Caribbean, and the residents and governmental authorities are more aware, educated, and prepared for this threat. However, we also recognize the process is ongoing, and local, national, and regional infrastructure and education and preparedness programs still need to be strengthened.